Glad you're staying with us right here on The Exchange, where your business is our business. I'm Rico Hizon. It's not just the Philippines suffering from more expensive rice. Global rice costs are now at their highest in nearly 12 years. Let's now have an exchange with the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations Assistant Representative for Programme Tamara Palis-Duran. Tamara, great to have you with us. Rice prices are going up not only here in the Philippines, but also around the world. Is this a major concern?
The trend in rice prices actually globally, there were some instances where it was actually increasing, especially during the time of the height of the Ukraine crisis. But here in the Philippines, we actually did a study a few months ago, and it was noted that for rice specifically, generally stable yung trend for rice prices. Although there are some areas in the Philippines wherein na-observe talaga that rice prices have indeed spiked.
Alam mo, nakikita na rin natin, no, Tamara, that Thailand, Vietnam who are major rice producers, naapekto na rin, di ba? Ang presyo ng kanilang per ton of rice. Nagkaroon rin tayo ng problema sa India. So, is this already having an impact on food security?
In general, yes, because for FAO, we define food security by recognizing its 4 dimensions. We recognize availability, accessibility, both financial and physical accessibility, the utilization, so including yung nutritional status, and also the stability of the entire food systems as factors that affect food security. So the fact that the staple commodities are becoming less affordable to the communities, to the people, then in general, we can say that it has been affecting the food security.
May magagawa ba tayo? I mean, everyone is being affected around the world by rising prices of rice. Meron ba tayong magagawa to stop or at least slow this increase in rice prices?
Yes, meron namang magagawa, definitely, Although we also have to consider that there are some factors that are beyond our control. For example, mga agroclimatic factors, the fact that we're visited by at least 20 typhoons in a year dito sa Philippines. So these are factors that are something that we cannot really stop or we cannot control, but there are certain interventions that can help mitigate the possible losses. But firstly, we should invest in interventions in technologies that would help improve the productivity of rice farmers in the Philippines. Among the major interventions or advocacies of the Department of Agriculture now is on consolidation. So isa sa mga characteristics of agriculture in the Philippines is we are composed majority of smallholder individual farmers, and for them to really reach economies of scale, there's a need to consolidate and cluster them into groups, into organizations, so that they'll be able to meet demand, they'll be able to better negotiate prices, among others. And then we also need to support them in terms of being able to access technologies.
That's right.
So ito yung mga equipment or approaches that can help improve yung yield nila, adoption of better producing varieties, and in terms of, for example lang, in terms of addressing the impacts of climate hazards, FAO, among others, we are promoting anticipatory action. So that means a scientific approach to acting before a disaster even happens.
And Tamara, we just heard what you just mentioned about clustering farmlands, technological innovations for our farmers from former Agriculture Chief William Dar. Of course, apart from the 20 typhoons that cross the archipelago on a yearly basis, destroying many farmlands, what about the El Nino? Will this have an impact on the country's food security, not only here but the rest of the region?
Yes. So El Nino, as we know, it causes drier conditions. So we all know for rice specifically, dry conditions are not really very ideal. So it may adversely affect yung rice production ng country. But as I said, since we are still in the period of nasa monsoon season pa tayo, there are some actions that the communities, the smallholder farmers can take before the disaster happens, for example, in terms of water harvesting, providing better irrigation facilities, or yung mga drought-tolerant varieties. These are the kinds of interventions that can help the country in mitigating yung possible impacts ng El Nino.
And Tamara, no, your mandate is not only the Philippines but around the region. What best practices can the Philippines learn from other rice-producing countries to ensure that we had food supply resilience?
So mostly here in the region, ang nakikita natin na ginagawa nila is really investing on disaster risk reduction and mitigation approaches, or DRRM. I know I've been emphasizing or repeating about anticipatory actions, but really we've done studies that investing in interventions and methodologies before a disaster happens can help you save or safeguard yung inyong livelihoods, especially or including rice production. So, isa ito sa mga pinopromote ng FAO. And then aside from that, I also mentioned about adoption of tolerant varieties. So it can be drought-tolerant varieties in the case of El Nino. There are also rice varieties that are tolerant to flooding, for example. So we need to be able to access that. And here in the region, I know that there are several countries already adopting that here in Asia Pacific. So we need to, as you said, we need to learn from them.
Hopefully, and keeping our fingers crossed that we will adopt these innovations sooner rather than later for our food supply security. Thank you so much for this regional supply exchange, Tamara Palis-Duran of the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. And straight ahead on the exchange, where your business is our business. Food producers are also trying to weather the storm of supply problems. We talk to the Philippine Chamber of Agriculture and Food next on CNN Philippines. News you can trust.